Greetings, everyone. Welcome back. In previous episodes, we've been looking at Slash going to Hogwarts. And for fun, we've been just throwing out some ideas. So what we're going to do this time, we're upping the game a little bit with a bit more seriousness, which means now we're going to pre-pencil some stuff. So, part of the theme for what's going on with this will be to assume that Slash is a kid at this point. So we're just going to do more rough stuff, I suppose, rough idea stuff. And it's going to be a little bit more cartoony. But we're going to make it so that, well, he's kind of age appropriate, which means the eyes will be a little bit bigger in the skull. Skull will be a little bit bigger. All that kind of stuff. It's kind of fun to think about the possibility that in a fictitious world, this could be a real thing. Now, there would be very specific rules, I would think, on how you're supposed to keep your uniform at this private school. And we'd have to assume that if he attended, that his first year probably would have been in the mid 1970s. I'm not saying that they would all have like the big radical collars and all that kind of stuff. They probably still did things rather proper if the school was indeed real. But at this point, we're going to assume that, he had to sort of keep some kind of decorum. But we're going to have it so that his tie is in relaxed form. I find with me anyway, because I mostly kind of sketch in ink, I do sketch roughly, and I'll still try to work through lines and whatnot, but I find that I'm still slightly more precise, if that makes sense, with my movements of where I want things to be roughly. Not that that matters too much. Now, we would already know that to some degree, he may not have had super long hair at age 11. He could have, 11, 12, or in that age neighborhood, but we'll We'll see after if we're going to let the hair get long or longer with a 12-year-old slash. Oh yes, the great bonus. I forgot just to bring it out. Okay. Oh yeah. Erasers are fun. So right now, I'm thinking of where to place an outstretched hand. And how I want that to look. Of course, it would look a little distorted. But that is all right. That's what would happen. We have him wearing his house robe. We'll have a hand in a pocket, but the robe itself would be, let's say, tucked in behind the arm here, making its way around to one side, something like that. Penciling is always kind of a fun thing because it gives you that freedom to get in there and change something after the fact if it doesn't really suit you. But I'll separate the pencil video from the inking part. So we'll put them in Chuck Taylors. I wear Chuck Taylors to this day. I've always been a fan of Chuck's. Canvas shoes from my days when I'd be skateboarding. Now that part of the robe there should be at that length, but because it's tucked in behind the arm, baggy pants. I don't know if Slash ever was into skateboarding or whatnot. It's an interesting idea if he did. So that's roughly the figure, just under 12 minutes. What kind of magic would he be doing? Would he be levitating something? Well, I did have an idea, but we are going to put something over here. Gotta have a chair, let's say. In this case, we'll have a stool. We'll have it so that it's joined at the top here. That'll be kind of shaded in the other part of the process of inking it in. And often what I do with my drawings is I kind of like to think of them in the same way that you might with a coloring book. Now it's over here that we're going to put something that's at this point probably just too big anyway for him to be really concerned with. I'll bring the eraser out just for fun. just so you know, I did mean to look up references for Gibson guitars, but I didn't bother. So before I ink this, I'm going to confirm something. I mean, I have a rough idea, but so there'll be a slight difference in the times. Now here, we're going to have perhaps angled off to one side, but we'll have a Les Paul Jr. Or should we go bigger than that? Well, we'll treat it like it's in the background because that's where it is right now. One of the neat things about pencil, another neat thing about pencil anyway, is line forgiveness. If you're just doing like a singular drawing using single lines, you don't have that line forgiveness. As I said, I'm sort of familiar with the instrument. This is usually a single sort of toggle here. Often humbuckers. Right off the top of my head, I'm not really sure about the scale of these. Actually, that should be a little closer to the end of the fretboard. This would have adjusters, I believe. And you'd have the volume and tone and something like that. Okay. So, for years, I've had a couple of Ibanez guitars. So, like one of my first guitars, I would have got back in the, I'm going to say maybe 87 or 88. It's an Ibanez Roadstar Series 2. And it would have been in the shape of a kind of like a Stratocaster. And they're pretty neat. I've had that guitar for such a long time. Now, these type of stands are pretty good. In a lot of ways, they kind of remind me of like the where you would fold up a music stand. So they kind of remind me of music stands, which is kind of strange. I still have a music stand somewhere, but you know, I don't really play so much anymore. I do believe this folds, let's see, kind of like, I haven't seen this particular one in quite some time. So the one that I have that's in my living room, I think it's made by Hercules. Hercules. And this type, I don't know where it is. I think I used to keep it with an acoustic. And then I put the acoustic away a long time ago. So that's the rough idea with that. So that should be way in the background. You shouldn't see it here like this. Fringe benefit, once again, eraser. We're going to extend these legs a little bit since I already placed the hat. Make this more of a foreground thing if we can place that. Make those legs seem a little bit smaller. Well, maybe we'll be able to change that because obviously that is much smaller than him. And if that's in the background, we're going to have to tilt those supports a little bit more. That's a little bit better, actually. Not by lots, though. Still, because of the way I did those, did that stool, that should be, anyway, I'll figure that out in a moment. So, we got the hat, we have his version of the wand in the background. Maybe the ideal thing is to take away the stool aspect. I think that might be what's ruining part of that perspective for me. What if we, actually let's get rid of a little bit more of that, although erasing before the inking you don't always have to do. But what if we made this to be a small table instead? That might be a little better. I think that gives a different look. So again, just seems too high. So that's sort of the main idea, I think, of what I kind of want for the picture. That specific guitar, that hat, Slash is an 11 or 12-year-old. And put them in some sort of a room, I think. We'll figure out if this is going to be like a bookshelf or a wand shelf or something like that. I don't know. I don't think the room would need to be that extreme. Perhaps we'll figure that part out after. Here we can have that feather. He's doing this without the use of a wand, so this would be kind of amazing for some people to see. All right, so that's the rough idea of what we have going on here. We have that part. So I'm going to take a momentary break and then we'll figure out what other things I want in the background, perhaps portraits, something else, something that would make it seem like it's part of that world. You know what? Let's try a portrait on the wall. See if I can get in there a little bit. He wouldn't really be 3D, of course. But let's say that this will be a portrait of Salazar Slytherin, looking on in some sort of approval of whatever's going on here. I don't remember if he has a mustache or goatee. I'm going to give him a goatee anyway. He'd be a little bit older of a dude. I think he has like a cool cape-like thing. It's weird to me that you would have house founders that would have sort of a sinister kind of intentions when you're writing this kind of a book. Wouldn't you kind of, I don't know, like anyway, it's just weird to have built-in enemies at your school. I mean, you can be kind of along the dark side of things, I suppose. We should all know that, yeah, Gryffindor is probably going to be the lead. Anyway, that's just me rambling on. So, let's go out a little bit. So the portrait on the wall approves. I don't think he has a little mustache. I'm pretty sure it's just kind of like a little beard. It may not be that extreme. Something like that. The background, of course, would be all something like that.